Let's rip into it with my second panel for the night, former Labor MP Michael Danby and Sky News contributor Kosha Garda. Thank you both for your time tonight. Let's start with Greenland, because talks between Denmark and the United States have broken down after a meeting with officials. Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Denmark and Greenland's foreign ministers in Washington yesterday. And Danish Minister Lars Rasmussen said a US takeover of the territory is totally unacceptable. Sweden, France and Norway have also begun sending armed forces to Greenland at Denmark's request. Kosha, Trump, though, doesn't seem to be backing down on his quest to take over Greenland. He said the US needs it for national security.
He is not backing down. I do think it's worth stepping back and just making note, though, Caroline, of how far this discussion has come. He was signaling this and alluding to it in his first term, and it was kind of considered a joke. A lot of people laughed at him for it. And now you have the leaders of Greenland and Denmark coming to D.C. to actually have discussions. Of course, they've broken down. There's a lot of gap to close. But he is serious. We've come a long way from it being a joke to being a possibility, and it could look like anything. I don't think conquering, though that's a theoretical possibility, and those are the words that are coming out there. But from that all the way to something else on the spectrum, such as a protectorate, having a direct defense agreement with Greenland outside of NATO. There's talks of purchasing Greenland. There's only 50,000 residents, and that is something that the U.S. Treasury is more than capable of offering them a handsome sum for that. And there is a history of purchasing nations in the past, including from Denmark. The U.S. Virgin Islands were purchased from them earlier in the last century. So that's all on the table, and I think the world is watching because we haven't seen anything like this in quite some time, but he is very serious.
Well, yeah, you're right. It did seem like a bit of a joke at the beginning, and Donald Trump Jr. headed over there and filmed a little bit of footage, and everyone was sort of laughing about it, but it's become very real. Look, I want to show you both this incredible exchange during a congressional hearing in the US on abortion pills. Dr. Nisha Verma is a senior advisor to physicians for reproductive health. And have a look as she refuses to answer a simple question from Senator Josh Hawley. Can men get pregnant?
Do you think that men can get pregnant?
I hesitated there because I wasn't sure where the conversation was going or what the goal was. I mean, I do take care of patients with different identities. I take care of many women. Yeah, I wasn't sure where you were going with that.
Well, the goal is just the truth. So can men get pregnant?
Again, the reason I paused there is I'm not really sure what the goal of the question.
The goal is just to establish a biological reality.
Michael, I mean, I laugh because we've seen such similar scenes here in Australia as well. Our own leaders and public servants have struggled with what is a really straightforward question too.
Of Greenland, just by coincidence. But that answer from that doctor is an example of the politically correct madness that gives so much weight to the Republicans. Wasn't that the key ad that Donald Trump used in the last elections that got him over the line in some states? Honestly, this it began with J.K. Rowling. It's been undone by that very famous hospital review in the UK, and honestly, it's got to stop. Let's get back to talking real politics and have doctors talking about issues that are important to public health.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? I think it was the sex discrimination commissioner here who couldn't even answer what a biological male was recently, or a man was. Look, let's go to Minneapolis now, where officials say they are aware of reports of a shooting involving federal law enforcement in the city in the past few hours. More than 2,000 federal agents have been deployed to the city as anti-ICE protests escalate. Agents have used tear gas and pepper spray to deter confrontations with protesters as a pushback continues following the death of Renee Good. Kosha, what can you tell us about this latest incident?
Yes, you know, I hate to say it, but this is something that's inevitable. So it's another case of an altercation that's happening from protesters that are either organic or are being egged on by various agitprop groups because this really is existential for their cause and what the illegal immigration industry really means for one side versus the other. And I just think that there's nowhere else to go from here, unfortunately. This clash is going to happen, and one side is going to win and the other will not on this debate, and you are going to see these types of incidents, which don't look well optically for the ICE agents because they're armed, they're going in, they're doing a job. You see these individual people getting in trouble, but that is just the cauldron that we're in right now, and it's just going to continue.